Let's talk about liquidity pools. You hear the term all the time. They're basically the engine at the very heart of decentralized finance. But what are they really? In this explainer, we're going to pull back the curtain and see exactly how this engine works.
If you've spent any time at all in the crypto space, you've definitely seen phrases like these pop up. They get thrown around constantly, and let's be honest, it can sound super technical, maybe even a little intimidating.
Well, here's the secret. Underneath all that jargon is a surprisingly simple and honestly elegant system. Our goal today is to break it all down piece by piece so you can see not just what liquidity pools are, but why they're so incredibly important.
So let's dive right in. What is a liquidity pool? Let's take a look inside these so-called digital trading pits and figure out what's really going on.
Honestly, the easiest way to think about a liquidity pool is to just picture a big basket. That's it. And in this basket, we have two different types of tokens. This simple setup is what's so revolutionary, because it lets anyone swap one token for the other instantly without having to wait for a buyer or seller. The pool itself becomes your trading partner.
Okay, let's use a real-world example to make this stick. Imagine a pool for a token called BNB Tiger OG, and of course, BNB. Now, the single most important rule here is balance. See how there's $10,000 worth of the Tiger token? Well, there has to be an equal $10,000 worth of BNB. This 50-50 value split is the magic key to this whole thing.
All right, so the pool is set up and balanced, but what happens when someone actually uses it to trade? This is where we get to see the really cool part, the automatic balancing act. So, picture this. A trader wants to buy 1,000 BNB Tiger OG tokens. They don't need to find a seller, they just go straight to the pool. As you can see, BNB goes into the pool and the Tiger tokens come out. So what's the result? Well, there are now fewer BNB Tiger OG tokens left in the pool, which makes them just a little bit scarcer. And what does basic economics tell us? When supply goes down, the price goes up. And the pool's code, the algorithm, handles all of this automatically.
And, you guessed it, this works in the exact opposite way too. If someone sells BNB Tiger OG into the pool, they're adding to the supply. That makes it more plentiful, and so the price drops a little. Every single trade, big or small, shifts this balance, and the price just adjusts in real time. It's a pretty brilliant system of supply and demand.
So, here's the main takeaway. The price isn't being set by some big company in an office somewhere. Nope. It's determined entirely by the ratio of the two tokens inside that pool. That's why really big trades can cause big price swings, what traders call slippage, while smaller everyday trades barely move the needle at all. Okay, so we've got the automated mechanics down, but these pools don't just appear out of thin air. And that brings us to the human element, and maybe the most important ingredient in all of DeFi, trust. I mean, it's the next logical question, right? If the pool is just a basket of tokens, where do those tokens actually come from in the first place? The answer is actually pretty cool. People. You, me, anyone. We can all become what's called a liquidity provider, or just an LP. All you have to do is deposit an equal value of both tokens into the pool. And in return for doing that, the system gives you special LP tokens. Just think of them as your digital receipt, your claim check, proving you own a slice of that pool.
Now, this is where that whole trust thing becomes absolutely critical. Usually, the developers of a project are the ones who provide the first big chunk of liquidity. To prove to everyone that they're not just going to take the money and run, a scam we all know as a rug pull, they can lock their LP tokens. They freeze them in a smart contract for a set amount of time. This makes it literally impossible for them to pull the funds out, which gives everyone else the confidence they need to participate and trade.
So this leads to a huge moment for any project. You've got this countdown timer ticking away. What happens when it finally hits zero and the liquidity is unlocked? All right, scenario one is the best case scenario. This is what all the investors are hoping to see. The developers immediately relock the liquidity for another period of time. It's a massive signal of confidence that says, hey, we're in this for the long haul, and it just reinforces all that trust. Now, in another scenario, they might just leave it unlocked. The pool still works perfectly, you can still trade, but now there's a new element of risk in the air. The market starts watching very, very closely because the ability to pull that liquidity now exists, even if the team has no intention of doing so. And then there's the third option. They might withdraw a portion of the liquidity. This doesn't kill the project or anything, but it does shrink the total size of the pool. And a smaller pool means that those big trades we talked about will now cause much bigger price swings, more slippage. things just get a bit more volatile. So, with all this talk about risk and locking up funds, you might be sitting there thinking, why on earth would anyone choose to be a liquidity provider? And that brings us right to the fundamental trade-off that every provider has to face.
The biggest risk for any LP is a concept called impermanent loss. Now, it sounds complicated, but it's really just an opportunity cost. Let's go back to our Tiger token. Imagine its price suddenly skyrockets, like 10x. Because the pool has to maintain that 50-50 value balance, it automatically sells some of your Tiger tokens as the price goes up. So when you go to withdraw your funds, you'll have fewer Tiger tokens and more BNB than when you started. You still made money, but you would have made more if you had just held on to those tokens in your wallet. That difference, that's impermanent loss.
It sounds like a pretty big downside, right? So why do millions of people still provide billions and billions of dollars in liquidity all across DeFi?
Well, the answer is simple: the rewards. First off, every single time someone makes a trade in your pool, you earn a little piece of the trading fee. If it's a busy pool, those fees can add up really, really fast. On top of that, many projects offer extra token rewards to their LPs. That's what people call yield farming. The whole goal is just to make the rewards from fees and farming so attractive that they outweigh that potential risk of impermanent loss. When you boil it all down, it comes back to this one idea. A deep, locked liquidity pool is the ultimate sign of a healthy, trustworthy project. It makes trading smooth, it keeps prices stable, and it creates a solid foundation for a project to grow. Without liquidity, a project just can't survive.
So now you get it. You understand the language of liquidity. You know how the engine works, you know the risks, and you know the signs of a project that's built on a foundation of trust. The next time you see that phrase, liquidity locked, you won't be confused. You'll know exactly what's going on under the hood. The question is no longer, what does this all mean? But rather, is this a project where I want to place my trust?
My children, what's up next is truly great. The tiger is mine, that's heaven's stake. It shall be seen. I don't bluff for a debate. Stick with the OG, yeah, I'll shift the weight. Enemy got plans, they won't prevail. I already broke that chain, cracked that veil. Fret not, I'm near, I'll never bail. I don't leave or forsake, that ship set sail. They got their scheme, I got my own. I build foundations out of dry bones. Market may shake, faith gets shown. Stand still, my people, I sit on the throne. The tiger is mine.